you guys have all the letters from everybody right here? I think I have an extra one from, who gave me the other ones. That's all I got. This one, I don't know if you guys need those. I got this. I don't know if anybody needs any copies of those. Do you need any of these? They sent those copies to me. Of the other copies? No, does Jordan need any of those? Those are letters, like, those are all extras, yeah. Okay. And I had another one in here. Good evening, and welcome to the Lowell Planning Board for Monday, April 2nd, 2018. Tonight, we have a public hearing and other matter on for old business. So the first matter on the, agenda tonight is a site plan review and a special permit for 357 Pawtucket Street. An application was submitted by James Harrington Esquire on behalf of the Franco-American Holding LLC, seeking site plan review and special permit approval at the above address. The applicant proposes to convert the former Franco-American School to a mixed-use building that will include 53 residential units and 20,000 square feet of professional office space. The proposed project is located in the traditional mixed-use zoning district and requires site plan review approval pursuant to section 11.4 and special permit pursuant to Article 12, Table of Uses, and of the Lowell zoning ordinance. 5 of the proposed units are included in a proposed rooftop addition that would further increase the building height, which requests special permit approval from the planning board pursuant to section 4.5, non-conforming uses and structures of the Lowell zoning ordinance and any other relief. May we hear from the applicant, please?
Mr. Chairman, briefly before we hear any testimony, I will be abstaining on this matter for the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fischert.
Yep. Good evening, Attorney James Harrington, Harrington Buck in Chelmsford, Mass., and here representing the applicant. Before we begin, I want to introduce our team. We have the principal owner, Brian McGowan, here with us, project engineer, Dave Jordan, the architect, Barry Gannick. We have Craig Thomas from the Coalition for a Better Acre, and Hyunjun Choi, I believe, may be appearing later. We have our project consultant, Steve Panagiatakis, and we also have James Cummings, and I think some other engineers from Hancock Associates that may be here to answer some questions as well. As you mentioned, we're seeking a special permit to convert the former school building into 53 residential units. And part of this project, as we presented in our pre-application hearing, involves the addition of a rooftop deck, and rooftop units, which is going to increase the height of the building. Because the planning board now has the ability to issue a special permit for non-conforming use on the site plan review. We're also seeking the second special permit to extend the existing nonconformity. It's not going to be any higher than the highest point of the roof as it exists now. The construction of the building is going to be confined to the footprint. There will be some additions. In addition to the rooftop, there'll be some infill additions, but nothing that will expand the footprint of the building. There's going to be vast site improvements and, and improvements with the parking, which Dave Jordan is going to explain in detail. And I'm also going to leave the details on the building to our architect, Barry Gannick, who I'm going to turn that over to in a second. Since we were here for the pre-application hearing, there were a number of comments that were raised that there's been a number of meetings, and to our knowledge, all of the comments have been addressed at this time. So at this point, unless there's any further comments, I'm going to turn this over to Barry Gannick, who's going to explain the construction on the building.
Good evening, Barry Gannick, Gannick Architects. Do you need to see the drawings on the?
Sure, if you could put them up there so that, put them on the angle a little bit so the public can see them as well. Thank you. Yeah. So if you want to stand to the right and use that microphone, that might be better, so hopefully we can see as well. So you have to push the button right here so the green light shows up. Once you see the green light, there you go.
I'm on. Great. As we talked about in the last meeting, we are converting the school, the former school building into 53 apartments at the moment, which includes 5 additional apartments on the rooftop, which are set back from the edge so that it minimizes the view from the street, the impact of the view of the building. Not to change the perception, the view from the street. Any additions that Mr. Harrington was referring to are infills, such as this white area here, and it's just shown as white to differentiate it on this drawing. It will be of sympathetic materials, brick, something that fits in. So any additions to the building are not expanding the footprint in any way. Okay. I want to point out one important note. The accessible entry to the building is on the parking lot side of the building. It is, at the moment, beneath the main stairs. There is space there to access underneath and have required turning space to get into the building. So again, we're not changing the exterior of the building at the moment. Again, any new materials will be sympathetic to the existing brick and formed concrete lintels of the building, that sort of thing. In a nutshell, that's it. Any questions right now?
Sure. What are the plans you got? Why don't you show those to us for the benefit of people who aren't here for the pre-app? Because
Okay.
that's like, the pre-app don't count. This is what counts, so we have to go by
Okay.
what testimony.
This is the
is received.
ground floor of the building, and of both the school wing and the former church wing of the building. They are a combination of flats and some duplex units, so some units will have 2 floors in them, basically with living areas on the lower level and bedrooms on the upper level. And even those stack. Those are in the former church wing of the building. And this plan basically repeats going up through the building. I know it's hard to see, but it is virtually the same plan going up through the building.
Is that floor by floor you're doing now, sir?
Floor by floor here. So this is previous, is that me? The previous plan was the ground floor plan. This is a sample plan of all the upper floors, and again, it's similar plan, they repeat. This would be the plan of the new units on the roof. You can see the gray lines here are set back from the edge. We will create a parapet. The existing roof is flush with the top of the walls of the building. The new roof will be dropped down just a bit to create a parapet so that there is open deck all the way around these units. Again, so that we're not making the building taller when you see it from the street. The building will maintain its general appearance the way it is today. These white areas here are the infill. Again, that it exists at the lower levels. We're just building on top of it here. There are existing porches already ready on this side of the building at the lower levels. We will just be filling that out all the way up. Okay. Again, it may be hard to see at this level, but there's some infill between masses of the building. We're going to have new windows similar in style and appearance to the existing windows. Here, if you can see it, these floors are shown in gray. They are new floors being built within the existing double height space of the former auditorium and the church space on the narrow wing that will provide the second levels for the duplex units that I described earlier. And that's it.
Thank you.
And before I turn it over to Dave Jordan, one thing I did want to point out, because much of this presentation is going to concern the exterior improvements on the grounds, but the mansion itself, which will be converted to office space, if anyone's had a chance to take a look in there, that's going to be fully restored as well. And that's going to be a really, really nice part of this project. So if you've been in any projects that Mr. McGowan has done in the past, I think you could be confident that the mansion is going to be beautiful when it's fully restored as well.
Good evening. For the record, David Jordan.
You have the green light on, it should be,
Oh, there we go.
there you go.
Okay. For the record, David Jordan, engineer, land surveyor with MHF Design Consultants in Salem, New Hampshire. So the project site, as this board is aware, is at 357 Pawtucket Street. It's a 4.2 acre parcel of land. We have Pawtucket Street on the south side, bottom of the page here, School Street on the west side. To the north, we have the Northern Canal, and then to the east, we have Fanning Street, a private way. So the mansion is at this location here. The school, which will be renovated to the 53 housing units, is at this location there. There's also an existing duplex on the property at the corner of Fanning and Pawtucket Street. That duplex will remain. As part of this project, we will be constructing new parking areas on the east side of the school mansion building and on the north side as well. Right now, there is access to the site, vehicular access from Fanning Street at this location and from School Street right behind the school and the mansion. As part of this redevelopment, the parking lot in this location here will be largely unchanged, other than removing some pavement in order to provide the required setback from a parking area to the buildings and provide some green space. But other than that, it's basically restriping the parking lot that's there. The side abutting Pawtucket Street, the existing driveways, walkways, that's going to remain completely unchanged, untouched by this project. We really want to preserve the existing character along Pawtucket Street in this location. Fanning Street will serve as the main entrance and exit to this project. We have a full access driveway here. Right now, there is a large paved surface kind of running parallel with Fanning Street. There's actually a garage building and there's some other outbuildings in the back. These will all be removed as part of this redevelopment. As you move further into the site, currently, this area here is where the Stations of the Cross are currently located. And then continuing up around to the back of the site, the grotto is at this location here. Part of this project involves working with the Coalition for a Better Acre to relocate the stations to the back of the property and preserve the grotto in its current condition and current location here. So there really is a collaborative effort going on between the applicant, Brian McGowan, and the Coalition for a Better Acre to, again, move these stations, preserve the grotto, and create a park along the back of the property. In terms of parking, as was mentioned, we have new parking areas going in front of the building here, and new parking areas off to the north and around the back. So all the existing pavement that's in these locations will be removed, new paved parking surfaces provided, landscape islands provided. We have a series of islands shown in the plan here for landscaping, landscaping between the building and the parking, and pulling the existing pavement in this area away from the right-of-way of School Street to get some plantings in there. Overall, and this ties into the drainage stormwater management that I'm going to be discussing in a moment. Overall, there's actually going to be a reduction in paved surfaces on this property with this proposal. As I mentioned, there's a lot of existing paved areas and some buildings that are being removed. In much of the area that we're actually doing this redevelopment for these parking areas exist as paved parking currently, or paved surfaces currently. As Barry mentioned, the accessible entrance to the building is at the front here. So we've located our handicapped accessible parking spaces just to the right of that entrance. In addition to the parking provided for the school and the mansion, we actually are showing a series of 5 spaces back here that are set aside for grotto parking, and that includes one accessible space that provides accessible access, handicapped access to the grotto and the Stations of the Cross at this location here. In terms of parking requirements, for the 55 units, when I say 55, I mean 53 for the school, plus the existing duplex, which is to remain. So for the 55 units, we need 110 parking spaces. And then for the 20,000 square foot office building, the office use within the mansion, that's an additional 50 spaces. Based on the zoning ordinance and your shared parking calculations, a total of 120 spaces are required during the peak parking times, which is weekdays from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. So 120 spaces are required under that shared parking analysis, and 133 are provided. So we're providing more than adequate parking per the zoning ordinance. Okay, turning now to talk about stormwater. Right now, all of the stormwater runoff from the project is collected in a few on-site catch basins, and which then discharge into the Northern Canal as an existing system that's out there today. When we took a look at the stormwater from this site, we're actually working with the engineer for the Coalition for a Better Acre. That's Hancock Associates. So they're doing the engineering for the park area along the Northern Canal. And we're obviously doing the engineering and the stormwater design for the parking lots adjacent. Essentially, the back edge of this parking, the sidewalk here, divides the 2 projects that are on this one property. as part of the stormwater design in the park area that Hancock Associates is working on, there's a series of rain gardens. There's a total of 4 rain gardens proposed. And those are areas where the stormwater will be collected through some curb inlets, introduced into a rain garden area, which provides for infiltration, provides for treatment of the stormwater, and also groundwater recharge. They have done a couple of test pits out here. We have good soil conditions that allow for groundwater recharge, which is an ideal method for not only treating the stormwater, but also mitigating any increase in runoff. Although, as I mentioned, there's no increase, there's actually a slight decrease in impervious surfaces. So the peak runoff control is not as critical, but with the stormwater design, again, these rain gardens that exist or that will exist within the adjacent area allows us an opportunity to get our stormwater tied into those. In addition to those 4 rain gardens, we're going to be creating similar rain gardens in our green space between our parking areas. Again, providing some curb openings, getting the stormwater into these landscaped islands. The rain gardens will be planted with different variety of species of shrubs and perennials, all of which are water tolerant. They can take an inundation of water during storm events. In between, though, they are dry areas. These aren't standing areas of water. There's no permanent pools and no wetlands vegetation associated with these. So overall, again, we are providing full treatment of the stormwater. We're going to be providing a reduction in the peak rate of runoff. No new discharge points to the northern canal. We're going to utilize the existing discharge point. We have discussed this with city staff, and again, we're working collaboratively with Hancock Associates to finalize the specifics of that design. But again, that, in summary, is our method for stormwater management for this project. In addition, we've taken a look at sewer connection for this site. The site is currently on sewer. We did have a good meeting last week with the wastewater utility and discussed different options. Right now, the school building is tied into a pump station off of School Street. We're evaluating tying either some of the building into that, or all of the building with maybe some upgrades to the pump station, or possibly doing an independent pump station for this project, and then getting the sewer up to Pawtucket Street. So basically, we've identified 3 solutions to the wastewater. Wastewater is an agreement that all 3 of those options are viable. So again, we're just finalizing those details. Once we have those finalized, we will provide plans that show that connection and present those to wastewater for their review and approval. Likewise, water supply. We will be running some new water lines into the site. We're just going to, again, working with the water department to identify where those connections should take place. I believe there was a fire flow test recently, and we're just waiting for the results of that test to determine, again, where the water should be brought in from and size of mains, things like that. So again, once those levels of details are finalized, we will provide that on a plan and provide it back to the water department for their review and approval. As Attorney Harrington mentioned, we did receive several comments from the pre-app filing, and I believe we have addressed all those. I know one fire department had a question at that time as far as access for their ladder truck. We provided that, and I believe they've signed off on that as well. So I think with that, Mr. Chairman, I will turn it over to the board and any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And At this point, I think we'd like to turn it over to Craig Thomas from the Coalition for Better Acre, just to explain a little bit more about the coalition's involvement with the park area in the rear.
Mr. Chairman, members of the Planning Board, Craig Thomas, Director of Real Estate for the Coalition for a Better Acre.
Welcome, Craig.
So just to reorient us again, this is the school, the mansion, School Street, Pawtucket Street, and we're talking about this section in the rear along the canal. Wanted to give an overview of what the Coalition for Better Acre is doing. We're really excited to be involved here to work on what we see as a real neighborhood amenity, a really exciting part of this project, both for the residents, the future residents of the building, the office, and for the neighborhood. This area is potentially underappreciated behind the existing grotto now, but it is a canal side area. So again, the grotto is here, and the Stations of the Cross, which are in this area now, are proposed to be relocated in a semicircle around the grotto. These are a really important part of the community. We've gotten a lot of really positive feedback. We have an ad hoc committee that's been working with CBA and with Brian about how to rebuild this park, how to both keep in place and best celebrate these assets. We have some of the folks from that committee here tonight, and we're all really excited about the opportunity to rebuild a place that people can appreciate the canals and the river in the city, can continue to use the grotto and the Stations of the Cross, and a place that folks potentially haven't really experienced, but that connects well with the canal walk that the National Park has along the Upper Canalway, as well as what they call the Gatekeeper's House. So this plan has been advanced some since the preliminary hearing. You'll see a more advanced planting plan. That's what all of this is, the future plants and shrubs and trees that will go in here. Again, for those who can see it closer, the large circles here are larger tree plantings. Then we have the rain gardens that were mentioned by Mr. Jordan, the engineer, in this area and in this area. Again, this is from the water that's already flowing in this direction, but it's an opportunity to do something really neat and innovative with the stormwater, to try and have an integrated system that's in the landscape, but almost unnoticed, and in fact will nourish some really neat flowering plant and shrub varieties. And that you can see here a walkway that encircles the stations, the grotto, and that runs from edge to edge on the site.
Thank you.
We're all set on our
Nothing
ends.
further at this time? Okay. I know we received a couple of letters in support of the project, but I'll turn it over for live testimony first, and then I'll come back and I'll read those into the record. Anybody here this evening want to speak in favor of this project? Anybody here in favor? Just state your name for the record and... Good evening, welcome back.
I'm back. Maxine Farkas, I live at Western Avenue Lofts, and it's amazing to be in favor of something. I read the narrative. Thank you. I looked at the plans, and I'm definitely in favor of the project, and I think that the addition on the roof is going to be spectacular. And I would just hope somebody who moves there invites me up. There's a great degree of sensitivity to the neighborhood and to the city involved in this project. I have a friend who's actually working for Brian on the mansion, doing decorative painting, and I've come to really respect what Brian does, because he takes something that is really cool and he makes it extraordinary. And so I'm going to keep this very short. Henry told me to keep it short. But please, I really hope that you do approve this, the special permits. I think this is going to be a jewel for the acre, and it's going to bring probably some market rate housing into the area, which would be also quite wonderful. So thank you.
Just to comment on the painting inside the mansion, I was there last Thursday, and it's amazing what's going on, and how they're restoring it back to what it was, and the hand touching or some of the painting, is totally impressive.
Yeah, it's amazing, and, you know, the sensitivity to our history, to the city, you can't ask for more.
No, I thought, you know, a lot of that stuff, people would have just covered it up, to be honest with you, but this is down to the nitty-gritty of stuff they're changing and stenciling it back in to look,
Yeah.
I was very impressed. Thank you very much. Anybody else like to speak in favor?
My name's Neil Payton. I was a member of the Franco-American Board, still am. I'm a member of the ad hoc committee for the park that you just saw. Been involved with many different projects, volunteering my time, and it's very rewarding to be involved with something so positive. And I think it's going to be a very positive feature for the city, and I hope that the city backs it and approves this going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Dennis McGrade, and I live in the duplex on the property. I've lived there for 50 years. And since Brian has taken over the property, I cannot say enough about how he's maintained it. It's impeccable. Always was. He's a man of his word, and he can't do enough for me. So I want to say that he's a great guy, and he'll do you right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good evening. I was going to read your letter, but now you're here, I'm going to put that back in the burner.
Yeah.
You can speak for yourself, right?
That was just in case, because I had another meeting.
Not a problem.
Didn't know
Go
if
ahead.
I'd make it in time, but I wanted to make sure that I
Give
did
us your
say
name for the record
something.
for the ones who,
Anyway, my name's Dave Willett. I live at 113 Cabot Street, Lowell.
we have a letter for you on file that you're in favor. Go ahead, please, sir.
Okay. This is a great project being brought before you this evening, the Franco-American School, and I ran up the stairs.
Take your time.
And its surrounding
Take your time.
property, including the beautiful Way of the Cross, has been part of our Acre neighborhood for many years. Brian McGowan, TMI, has a track record in the Acre of renovating, then maintaining property in spectacular conditions. The grandeur of this historic building and the importance of preserving the Way of the Cross and the grotto could not be in better hands. I am in approval of the renovation and have complete faith in the developer to renovate the entire parcel with full dignity and respect that it deserves. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak in favor? In favor? Yes. Please come to the microphone, sir, and state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Dennis Willett. I'm from Westford, Mass. I'm originally from Lowell. I was in the orphanage at time when I was younger. I've been visiting the grotto on behalf of all the other people that go to the grotto on a regular basis. I've become very close friends with them. And at the beginning of all this project, that Brian, before he took over, was so curious of what was going to happen to it. It was like a big blessing that Brian had taken over this project and was so friendly with everybody about how they took everybody's information and evaluated it so that it made a purpose for everybody, plus what his project was going to do. It wasn't just a selfish situation that he wanted to make. It was just only about a business thing. It was more like a people on a personal city project that he wanted to have some integrity in, and it's very well respected. So that's just as a, you know, a bygoer of the grotto and for everything that everybody feels that it's worth. He's a miracle in disguise, and we thank you and bless you, Brian, for doing what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else like to speak in favor? Yes, please.
Jane Marie Henrick, former nurse for the last 5 years of the school at Franco. and in the final year at the school was one of the 4 staff members who happened to empty out the whole school. I have been back in there a few times to the mansion and the school, and I am completely pleased with all that Brian is doing and will do. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Kevin Roy, and I'm from Billerica, Mass. I'm in favor of this project because I'm on the ad hoc committee with other members in this room. That was something that the school is close to my heart because I'm the one that restored the Stations of the Cross and the grotto when the school had its anniversary. So knowing that when they talk about Brian being a man of character, he truly is a man of character, because I've said to him repeatedly that thank God it's a blessing that you bought the property, because what he has done, as you have seen, is spectacular. And I know that sisters that are here, Sisters of Charity of Quebec, that operated the school, they kept it up very well under the present conditions, and I mean very well. My children went there, so I knew well of the building, every inch of the building, actually. So knowing that the stations and the grotto are going to be preserved in perpetuity, just relocated, is a blessing in disguise. And like I said, I'm not from Lowell. I never was. I live in Billerica, and my kids went there. But to have that preserved on a private property now is spectacular. So I thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Rose Payton. I live in Dracut, and the Franco-American School has meant a lot to me. I had my aunt was a nun that worked over there, and I went to school there myself, as well as my 2 sons. And seeing, the school closing was very sad, but I was able to go into the mansion to see the work that Brian did, and I was very impressed with the work that he did, and I'm looking forward to seeing him restoring it, as well as preserving the grotto.
Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Sister Jane Holland. I worked for 50 years at the Franco-American School, and I'm just looking now at what Brian is doing, and he is really a man of his word and a very good character. And the work he's been doing in the front house is just so gorgeous. And the fact that the Stations of the Cross are going to remain and be put in another area, I'm very happy with that, and I hope that all that he wants to do will be granted to him. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak?
My name is Sister Lorraine. I was the principal at the Franco-American School for 30 years, and the last few years have been kind of bittersweet, but working with Brian and hearing what I heard tonight, I think it's the sweeter part of my journey. So I agree with the project 100%.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak in favor?
Hi, Rachel Edlund, 390 Pawtucket Street. I haven't heard from any of the neighbors yet, so I thought I'd speak. So I live close by, diagonally from the school, and live in the beginning of the Wanalancet Historic District, and I can't tell you how thrilled I am to see the historic character maintained in the intent in this project. So I'm very pleased to see that. I'm one of the representatives on the historic board, so even though this does not go through their purview, we still care. So we like seeing that the adjacent historic district character is maintained. And on a personal basis, I love seeing how the secular and sacred is being combined in this project and continued. So it's a good project, and I'm in favor of that.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? Okay, this time I do have a couple letters. I'll read those into the record, then I'll turn it over to see if anybody's in opposition. This is to the City of Lowell Planning Board from Sister Linda Greenwood, Director San Domingo House of Prayer. Good morning. It has been brought to my attention that the Planning Board Committee will be meeting with Brian McGowan to discuss the building project taking place at the former Franco-American School on 357 Pawtucket Street. I have lived and worked at my community's House of Prayer since fall of 1999. It has been a wonderful ministry to lead and to serve the many seeking faith in the Merrimack Valley. I am pleased to share that I desire to support Brian's building project in this building and have already appreciated having him as a next-door neighbor. He is kind and always aware of the needs of our neighborhood. What he has been able to do, even the very short time of caring for this corner, I could not ask for better. It has been a preview of how we will treat his tenants with respect and care. All people deserve to live in such a place which they can call their home. Many thanks for the opportunity to share my support. Sincerely yours, Sister Linda Greenwood. You have a letter here from, let's see, it's Roland Martin and Daniel Martin from Roland Martin Funeral Home, 308 Pawtucket Street. This letter is to inform the board that our full support of the project proposed for 357 Pawtucket Street. Our property is located diagonally across the street from the project in question. We feel this project will enhance the neighborhood and add to the community. We also appreciate Mr. McGowan reaching out to us to make himself available to discuss this project. Sincerely, Ronald Martin and Daniel Martin. I also have one other matter from Ken Kaiser, UPM Real Estate. Dear Chairman, Mr. Linehan, and Planning Board members, my name is Ken Kaiser, and I'm writing to express my support for the new housing project by Brian McGowan at the intersection of School Street and Pawtucket Street. I recently built a mixed-use building at 277 Pawtucket Street, where I occupy with my real estate office and 6 apartments. Although Brian's project could compete with my building, I realized there was a demand for more market-rate apartments in the city. I've known Brian for several years. He has proven himself as a stand-up person, a hard worker, and a conscientious property owner. Brian has proven developed also with numerous properties in the city of Lowell. I recommend the planning board approve his project. I believe we approved Ken's project. Okay, moving along, those are the 3 letters that have been submitted. At this point in time, anybody want to speak in opposition? Okay, which one is that one? Oh, let me take a look. Which one? Yeah. Which one is that one from? Maybe I can get one. Oh, nope, I didn't get that one. Thank you very much. This is from Mill City Properties. Thank you. Dear Mr. Chairman and members of the Planning Board, I am unable to make this evening's Planning Board meeting. However, I would like this letter read into tonight's meeting in support of Brian McGowan's project at the former Franco-American School. I purchased a Victorian house at 322 Pawtucket Street, which diagonally across the street from the Franco-American School in 1988, and shown above in my logo letterhead. I still manage the property over 20 years later. I am very pleased and proud to say that I have toured with many of Brian McGowan's projects, and all of them are built to the highest standard. This project that Brian is proposing at the corner of Franco-American site is an asset at the direct neighborhood as well as the city of Lowell. The high-end market-rate housing which this project is calling for brings and retains quality residents to Lowell, which helps the downtown shops, restaurants, and stores. This project also helps with the city of Lowell tax base. Finally, and very importantly, Brian McGowan is a very responsible and committed property owner. He maintains all his properties to the very highest standard. His buildings are always kept up nicely, and the grounds around his properties are always clean and appealing. I very much support this project. I think it's a great project for Brian and his family, a great project for the neighborhood, and a great project for the city of Lowell. I hope the Lowell Planning Board agrees and votes unanimous in favor of this project. Signed, Chris Natale. Thank you. Patrick, do we have any more, or did I cover more? Okay. Thank you. So again, going back at this point in time, if anybody here wants to speak in opposition, you can come forward and speak. Anybody in opposition? In opposition? Not hearing none at this point in opposition. I'll turn the Matter over to any of the board members who have any comments or questions.
I do have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, start with Mr. Guys, go ahead.
In regards to the parking, will the residential and office space parking be separated and marked specifically for the office space or specifically for residential parking? I know that was a concern of the DPD.
The office will be up front, right? The office space.
Council, I think,
There will be designated separate
Okay.
areas.
And I just had a quick comment. I want to applaud you guys on, as well as the CBA, on maintaining the historical and faith-based nature of this property. I know it's important to a lot of people in the neighborhood, and as you can see from around the greater Lowell area, so thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Stetsky?
I too think this is a great project. It's great to see a historical property like this being, maintained and restored, as well as working with the neighborhood for some of the other amenities that you're providing. The only things I would have comment about is, as conditions of our permitting, and I'm sure that this is, essentially goes without saying, that you would need to work with the engineering department to finalize an approved stormwater plan, that you would work with the regional wastewater utility rather, for their final sewage plan. And, in the comments, we have about the water department determining the appropriate water connections. Other than that, I think it's a great project, and I hope it goes forward.
Great, thank you. Mr. Lockhart?
Yeah, I have a couple of practical questions, but before I get to those, have you had an opportunity, have you consulted with the historic board staff in terms of exterior help in making sure that that historical look is maintained? Talk to Steve Stoll or anybody, Brian? Briefly. Okay. I just, as chairman of that board, I want to make sure that, we're there to help you. And as Rachel pointed out, she's on staff, we want to make that look nicely and do it in a cost-effective way, so you're really bringing that up to the architectural standards that were developed years ago. A couple of practical things. One, I think the wastewater, not the wastewater, the solid waste coordinator had questions about waste removal and pad locations and access to those. Could you address those as well as some kind of a snow storage plan that I didn't see much in there on that?
Again, for the record, David Jordan with MHF Design Consultants. Starting with right now we've shown in this location right here a combination dumpster and recycling area. And there was a comment regarding accessing that with a truck. We can take a look at that. We certainly have plenty of room to provide proper turning movements and get them oriented correctly. So, but basically, again, this will be the location. We'll just adjust it as needed to provide the access that they were looking for or recommending. And I'm sorry, the second, snow storage. We do on the site plan, we've designated pretty much all the areas just off the pavement. So we have snow storage in this location. We got snow storage over here. We do have some snow storage over here where it doesn't interfere with the landscaping and the rain gardens. So we do designate snow storage locations on the site plan sheet from our set.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Council, I just have a couple of questions, and I'm just going to go back to the memo that you might have received from our senior planner, Christine McCall, dated March 29th. I believe you said you received that. It looks like a copy was given to yourself. Do you have that?
Yes.
Okay. So the First 2.5 pages, I have no questions on. I think we're coming down to number 3, just talks about the parking layout, which was indicated by the applicant that you have the 133 parking spaces, and you have, and you only need 120, so I'm all set on that. Number 4, I think, yes, people answered that, was the designated parking for the grotto was, as indicated on the site plan, or will they have signs or markers? The board may wish to ask if the applicant will designate any parking spaces for the professional space, and I believe you said they were, right?
Yes.
Okay. Number 5 just says you have to go before the Conservation Commission, I believe? The proposed park area to the rear would have to?
Park area, yes.
Okay, nice. The other one I have, number 6, the board may wish to confirm that the landscape open space is 5% of the gross parking area. The board may require the applicant to include additional landscaping if they don't have between the parking space and the sidewalk. Do you have any problem with that if you don't have the 5%, but you can, I mean, and the question would be to work with DPD on that?
That's fine.
Okay. Then the building permit one, they have a question here. Maybe someone can answer this for me. The number of AA parking spaces, what is unclear is if the only access entrance is located at this location, the developer should supply a narrative to demonstrate the location of the AAB parking spaces is provided. Is that what you say, the parking will be in the front? I'm not 100% sure what they were asking on that. You know what they mean by that? On that one that Christine wanted, it would be page 3, building department?
Yeah, I mean, this was just a comment from our plans reviewer from the building department.
So is it just asking to see if they have the handicap parking, or is it more to it than that?
Oh, sorry.
I think it was that if they provided the accessible, if the parking spaces that are going to be handicap spaces are within location or nearby the accessible entrance.
That's what they mean by the CMR? Okay.
I believe so, yes.
So the AAB complaint parking spaces is for the handicap up front? Is that what we're looking at, Council? I'm looking on page 3, very last line, the building department.
I believe this may be the access to the handicap access to the building.
Okay.
That they're.
Yeah,
we're
I
concerned
think that's
with,
what they were alluding
which
to,
is-
and I think
which
that's
is-
what you mentioned, sir?
Which is, I believe, Mr. Gannick, the entrance is right next to the handicap. Yeah.
Okay,
this
okay,
space.
so I thought to make, okay.
Yep.
I don't have much on page 2 to 4. On page 4, it shows what the design is. The design may already encompass this, but it would be this officer's request that the applicant to ensure that the, that the labor of them and the stations of the cross path meet accessible walkways, so they'll be in the back, I take it? So the walkway be okay back there? I think that's what she's referring to. Okay, and the salt and the recycling, they said they prefer you do it from Fanning Street instead of Pawtucket Street or School Street? Would that be a
Yes,
problem?
that-
No?
that's-
Okay.
That's
All
the
right, and
intent.
they said they'd be willing to work with you with the landscape plan? Okay. So
Yep.
basically, you have no problems with any of the conditions that have been requested by staff?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. So as indicated, I had the opportunity to be up there before the pre-app, and luckily this time when I got there, there was one of the gentlemen working there, and I identified myself, and Paul let me in, and I was very, very impressed by that front building and all the work that's going in there. It's, what they've been doing to the project, it's a beautiful job. And then I did have the opportunity to get up on the roof, and I know that our senior planner tried to get up there, but she had no success, so she was jealous when I told her I made it up there. And I know one of the concerns was, with the, if there's any, could you see it from the street? And then there's, the gentleman who I was with, Paul, showed me that where the elevator shaft now is, would actually be blocking any view from anybody across the street and up away the street, so you wouldn't be able to see that from any apartment complexes.
Right.
And actually, I was showing pictures of that with staff, because I have a benefit of taking the pictures now and bring them in and show them like Jerry does all the time, so at least up there on the roof, you could see that those would not even be visible from people across Pawtucket Street, who some of the houses that rise up higher, which still behind that elevator shaft,
Right.
really wouldn't see those at all. Plus, it was a beautiful view up there, but knowing that they're gonna be in a bit from the streetscape, as you said, from the building, Because as Paul said to me, don't go by the railing. I said, don't worry about them. I'm staying 15 feet away from those railings, I mean, up there. So, but that was, by looking at that and seeing of it, because the concern I wanted to get up there was because I know one of the requests is for the special permit for being up on the roof, and usually I wouldn't ask to go up there, but since it was part of the request for the special permit, I was very satisfied with what I saw up there, and it was a beautiful view, and I don't think being up that high is going to be any intrusion on any of the sight lines in the neighborhood whatsoever. So I think it's a great project, and I'm in favor of it. So saying that, I'll turn it over with the board members. Any board members have any further follow-ups? If not, we'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion. You want to take the special permit or the site plan first?
Go ahead. Rich has asked me a question. I'm sorry.
Oh, do you want to do the special permit or the site plan first?
I start with the site plan first because it's
Okay,
easier for the site plan. 'Cause that,
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the site plan with the following conditions: that the applicant work with DPD on a final landscape plan, that they work with the engineering department for a final stormwater plan approval. They continue to work with the Lowell Regional Wastewater Utility for a final sewerage plan. And they work with the water department regarding the appropriate connections, as well as all the standard conditions which were mentioned in the memo, but those are by statute anyway, so I don't think we need to.
So if you want to
detail
incorporate
them.
that by Christine's memo, March 29, 2018?
Right, yeah, right.
I'll second.
Okay, wait a minute. So we have a session on the floor. Do we have a discussion? Yes, Mr. Lockhart?
Can we add work with the solid waste group and
I think you mentioned that, didn't you? Yeah.
No, I did not mention solid waste.
Okay. That's also encompassed in Christine's memo, so, but if you want to add it in as work with solid waste,
Oh, sure.
and also, and then if it's referenced by Christine's memo, we'll be covered either way, okay? All right, so we have a motion.
with that, I'll second the motion.
Oh, I think Jordan beat you to the second.
Oh,
so-
all right.
All right, so,
Didn't hear.
so we have motions made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. We have a motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Chair votes yes, so,
Abstention.
and one abstention, so we have 4 in favor and none against, for the site plan. So special permit. And Pat, on this, is it one special permit? Or
Two
maybe
special
two?
permits.
So the first one would be for the height on the top of the building, and the first one for the conversion?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
First one's Article 12, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we have 2 special permits. So, yeah, I was reading this, because your application was amended to include a special permit on the roof, right?
That's right.
Gotcha, okay, all right. So, for the special permit, for the conversion, I'll make a motion to approve with the same conditions as outlined and approved by the site plan.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we have 4 votes in favor, and none against, and 1 abstain. And then we need a second vote for the special permit for
Height.
the height.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the special permit for the height.
Okay,
Second?
second by Mr. Guys. All in favor, say aye.
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 Chair votes yes, so we have 4 in favor and 1 abstain. So both special permits and the site plan have been approved. Good luck and thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good job, Ms. McGowan. I wish you well. You have a lot of people speaking on your behalf. A lot of people came out for you, and it's a good job. You do a good job.
I'd like to thank the board. I'd like to thank everybody that came out, and, it wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for the Franco board, the condition they kept the property in, and, it's a team approach, not just me. So I thank everybody for coming out here. I thank the board, and we're gonna keep
Thank you,
going in the
sir.
right direction. Thank
very
you all
much.
that came out.
Thank you. Good job.
see the detailed painting that they were?
Oh, yeah.
It'd be nice, oh God, wouldn't it be nice if they were all this easy?
I never thought I'd hear a round of applause.
Okay, we're going to move along with the agenda, please. Next matter on the agenda is 1857 Middlesex Street. The applicant submitted revised plan and supported documentation for Phase 2 of the Collegiate Charter School expansion. The proposed revision reduces the scale of the proposed addition and associated parking facility. The proponent is requesting a minor modification on the site plan approval issued on November 17th, 2017. May we hear from the applicant, please?
Good evening. For the record, Brian Goodrow with Hancock Associates. So we have a minor modification before the board this evening for the charter school. It's not fundamentally changing the design of the school. Essentially, the revision is to go down from a 4-story building to a 3-story building. And when that happened, the net square footage went from 90,000 square feet to about 70,000 square feet. So we reduced the building by roughly 20,000 square feet. When we did that, the building actually became longer east to west. So essentially, the footprint grew heading west on the site about 40 feet, which facilitated slight site changes with respect to parking. So there was a net parking reduction of 10 spaces from 190 proposed to 180 proposed. It's important to note that zoning specifically requires 150 spaces. So we're still in excess of the parking capacity that we need. In terms of other site layout changes, the drainage has been modified to, in coordination with Lowell wastewater. We worked with Mike Stewart and came up to, because there were originally, if you recall, concerns about stormwater runoff potentially leaving the site, and we did revise the drainage system to eliminate that, essentially. And Mike Stewart is in support of the current plan. So with that said, I'm here. I'm happy to answer other questions, but it was a pretty minor change, which really was a loss of 20,000 square feet of the building.
Okay. So they sent you by yourself and not everybody else, like when you usually come in?
Just me today.
Well, you have somebody with you. I don't want to leave you short, but usually you have 8 people or more or whatever, so. So what happened to the elevator that was going to go up to the 5th story? Would that ever get up that high?
So there is an existing elevator in the 4-story building.
Yeah.
And that is going to be maintained. So essentially, they're just putting.
I remember when we approved the elevator before here, before they come in for something else, in between the different approvals. Yeah, okay. So that's up to 4 stories?
Yep, so it's a 4-story.
This is not considered a public hearing, but I will open it up this evening to see if anybody here in the audience would like to speak this evening. Anybody here like to speak on this project tonight? Hearing none, I'll turn it over to the board members at this time. Any of the board members have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, just to...
Start with Mr. Fischett.
To Patrick. Patrick, from looking at this, was there any concern with the modification regarding drainage at all, or, I mean, that's my biggest, I guess that would be my only question, really, from that perspective.
Yeah, so, I mean, they did revise their stormwater plan, and it was reviewed and approved by our wastewater.
And it was, okay, all right. And then from my perspective, Mr. Chairman, I know, I think they had come before us with a similar request, and to increase the height of the building, and we determined that that was a substantial material change, because obviously abutters came to the meeting with the understanding that, it would only be a certain height, and then to administratively increase the height of that building, we felt obviously was substantial material. I think from my perspective, we're actually bringing down the height of the building, we're reducing the square footage, we still have the required parking. The drainage has been approved with the slight change in the footprint. So from my perspective, Mr. Chairman, I would not determine this to be a substantial material change. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fischett.
I would concur with Mr. Frischet's.
I'll put that on for you. I'm sorry, Richard, go ahead.
I would concur with Mr. Frischet's comments that it's not a substantial change
Okay.
based on, the outcome.
Mr. Snetsky, any questions, comment?
I likewise concur. A reduction, I think, is, not a substantial material change in this case. Might I ask, what prompted this?
Dollars. So essentially, what the originally proposed building was a little bit of everything for the charter school. It was all of their needs, all of their wants, and then they put it out to bid, and it just came out to be too much money, essentially. So that's what's really driving this revision.
I did have a chance to speak with our senior staff today. Christine McCall, she's not with us tonight because she's at Pawtucket Neighborhood Association meeting that's being held tonight. And she indicated that she had a chance to run this by Nicholas, who was our city engineer and traffic engineer at the time, who has now left the city, and indicated that he had no problems with the fact that it was being reduced and not increased. So therefore, when I reached out for her today to see if he had any comments, that's what I was informed of. So I too don't have a problem with it being a minor change. Obviously, if it's a substantial material change, it required a public hearing. I'm sure you back to your people and told them that that's what we requested, they'd be pretty shocked. And you'd have a lot of people with you next time you come back.
Yep, this is true.
But so I don't have a problem with it being reduced. So number one, we'd have to make a vote about the substantial change, and two, accept the modification.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that the proposed plan does not constitute a substantial material change to the original approved.
I'll second the motion.
Motion seconded, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that motion is allowed. And now we need a motion to accept the amendment to the site plan.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to accept the amendment to the site plan.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion made and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes yes. So you approve, so modification, and you're all set. Good luck.
Thank you.
Wish you well. So how did you get picked to come? You get the short straw? I just have to ask. I mean, we've been through this for, so many years now. It's just, and I know you've been here most of them, right?
I have been.
Of all of them?
All of them.
Yeah, wow, good luck to you. So that's why you're here.
A long road.
I wish you well. I know you've been here for most of it, there's been so many, so good luck.
Thank you.
I wish you well. Okay, so moving along, any further comments from board members at this time?
Yeah, we have a historic board meeting on April 9th. We have a public hearing relative to a residential duplex going up on an empty lot on Adams Street a week from tonight.
Under other businesses, I just want to bring our attention to two things. One, we did receive information from planning staff about the Mass General Law, Chapter 91A, Section 18. And I discussed that briefly with Christine today. That's more informational about, and it would require that, and I have a copy of it here. So basically, like when people start putting the docks in the water and all that stuff, she said, this would come to us and we would decide whether we want to vote on it or not. It wouldn't be held as a public hearing. We would just make a comment as a recommendation. Did you have some discussion with that, Pat, too? Is that in-house?
Yeah, I mean, there was some discussion of it.
Yeah, she sent us over the thing. I read it in detail. I asked her, she goes, you probably won't be seeing a lot of this.
Yeah, we really don't see them that often.
And they don't ask really too much from us. But they
Right.
said, it would just be, if we saw it, they referred it to us. We don't have to make recommendations.
Right.
But if we do want to, and it just shows that now we can get involved in these matters where before we,
Right.
basically there was no input. So it doesn't look like and then even if, then I believe what I read was the committee that allows them, they don't even have a right of appeal once they approve the whole thing. But yeah, so it's allowed to be given to us, and we can comment on it if we want, so I believe I had that in the packet, so I guess you all have a copy of that, so if anybody has any questions on that, we'll see it as if and when it comes forward.
I did have a quick question. How often do you think we'll be seeing,
Not too often.
personal piers or docks along the Merrimack River, so.
So, but just to go to show that it broadens our horizon and empowers to prove something or just comment on things.
Yep.
So, and I know Christine sent us out something else, which is what this city council and subcommittee meetings are working on, which is the new marijuana ordinance that may be coming through sometime in the future. She gave us a rough draft on that. I haven't read the whole thing in detail yet because she said it will be changing. So I know they have future meetings coming up on that, Patrick?
Yeah, so tomorrow, zoning subcommittee meeting at 5:30, and here, there's just more discussion on the proposed ordinance.
I believe they were putting some sense of urgency on it to get it before the council because of some statutory requirements. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the timeline and whether there's a date specifically we need it by, or I'm sure there is one, I'm just not sure of it. But I know that they do kind of want to move this along.
In watching the council meeting, I believe last week, I think it is right around the 1st of April. And I think that's why they were pushing, to have those subcommittee meetings in rapid succession.
Right.
I think at noon today, the state opened up applications
Right,
for
it said it was in apps, yep.
So obviously, this will be like any other ordinance. It'll go to the council, be referred to us, public hearing for us. We put our comments in, and back to the council.
That's right.
So
I would
we have-
expect I'm getting the sense that may be before the council tomorrow night after the subcommittee meeting. That was the sense I got from watching the council meeting last week.
So if not, once they approve it, they'll refer it to us, and then we'll pick it up on our radar, either
Right.
maybe at the further April meeting or May.
Yeah, the April 19th meeting, it could be.
19th, there's a few things.
Now, you've already forwarded us a lot of stuff for the April 19th meeting. I received quite a few things you sent us so
Yes.
far.
There's a
I
couple.
thank you for that in advance. So, okay.
So far, we only have the 2 public hearings at this point,
Yeah, there's 31 Fairgrove Ave, and then,
or 74 Merrimack,
yes, that's right. It's like
or 84 Merrimack,
44
excuse me.
Merrimack Street.
Any of the board members have any further comments? I just figured I'd comment on those since they were material that was sent to us by staff, so. Okay. No further comments. We can entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion
Seconded.
made and second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Chairman votes yes. Motion carries. We are adjourned. Good night, and thank you, everyone.